think America needs armies to destroy a nation? Think again. In 1953, the CIA took down the most popular man in Iran in just 8 days. Not with bullets, not with tanks, but with a financial kill switch. Today, that same weapon is being used against Russia and China. This is the story the World Bank doesn't want you to understand. In 1951, Mohammad Mossadegh was the most popular politician in Iran's history. He was elected on one single promise: Iranian oil belongs to Iranians. Under Iranian soil, pumped by Iranian workers, it shouldn't have belonged to a British company, the AIOC, that paid Iran a measly 16 cents on every dollar of profit. But 16 cents wasn't the only insult. To understand the rage of the Iranian people, you have to look at the Abadan refinery. At the time, it was the largest in the world. British managers lived in luxury villas with air conditioning and manicured lawns. Meanwhile, the Iranian workers who made that wealth possible lived in Kaghazabad, literally paper city, slums made of beaten-down oil drums and cardboard, no clean water, no electricity, and in the blistering 50 degrees Celsius heat of the Iranian summer, they weren't even allowed to use the company's water taps. When Mossadegh stood up in 1951 and nationalized the oil, he wasn't just talking about budgets, he was talking about human dignity. That is why the crowds were cheering. They weren't just reclaiming oil, they were reclaiming their pride. To understand Mossadegh's downfall, you need to understand the AIOC. Remember this name because today you know it as BP. Behind that green logo lies a history written in blood. Britain didn't react with a military invasion, they played a total war financial game. They knew Iran's economy was a house of cards built on oil. When Mossadegh tried to sell oil to independent tankers from Italy or Japan, the British Royal Navy intercepted them like pirates. But the real kill switch was the Bank of England. They froze all of Iran's sterling silver accounts. Suddenly, Iran couldn't even buy medicine or sugar from the international market. This was the first time a global superpower showed that owning a resource like oil is useless if you don't own the rails it travels on, the banking system. It was a slow, painful strangulation designed to make the Iranian people turn against their own hero. Initially, America stayed neutral, but in 1953, the Eisenhower administration took the wheel. The CIA didn't just send money, they sent a man named Kermit Roosevelt, the grandson of President Theodore Roosevelt. He entered Iran under a fake name, carrying suitcases literally bursting with cash, over $1 million in Iranian rials. His mission? Manufactured chaos. He hired professional rioters to pose as communists, who then attacked mosques and burned flags to terrify the religious middle class. He paid newspapers to print fake stories that Mossadegh was a secret Soviet spy. On the morning of the coup, Tehran looked like it was in a civil war, but half the protesters on both sides were on the same CIA payroll. This wasn't a revolution, it was a scripted play produced by Washington. By August 22nd, Mossadegh was in prison, the Shah was back, and American oil companies walked away with a 40% stake in Iranian oil they never owned before. Why is this relevant in 2026? Because the weapon that destroyed Mossadegh wasn't military force, it was financial exclusion. America has refined this weapon into an art form. Today, it's called SWIFT and dollar sanctions. If you challenge the dollar, you are cut off from the global nervous system. Russia had $300 billion in central bank reserves frozen in 2022. Venezuela, Cuba, and North Korea are living through the same playbook right now. You don't need to invade a country if you can collapse its economy from an office in Washington. But why is the 1953 playbook failing now? Because of a concept called sanction fatigue. In 1953, the world was small. If London and Washington said no, you were finished. Today, we have the BRICS alliance. When the U.S. cut Russia off from SWIFT, the world expected a 1953-style collapse. It didn't happen. Why? Because China's SIP system is now a functioning life raft. India is buying Russian oil in dirhams and rupees. These aren't just trade deals, they are the construction of a parallel universe. Every time the U.S. pulls the financial kill switch today, it loses a bit of its power because it forces other nations to build a world where the dollar doesn't matter. The weapon is still sharp, but the target is now wearing Kevlar. History is often told as a series of accidents, but 1953 proves it's a series of blueprints. If Mossadegh had succeeded, the Middle East might have been a collection of stable democracies today. Instead, the coup planted the seeds of the 1979 revolution and decades of hostility. The question isn't just whether the financial weapon works, it's what happens after it works. When you destroy a nation's economy to save your interests, you create a ghost that will haunt your foreign policy for the next century. The soldiers fought with rifles in 1953, but the victors fought with numbers. If this changed how you see American financial power, subscribe. I'm tracking the exact mechanisms connecting the CIA in 1953 to the U.S. Treasury today. Now, the big question. Do you think the dollar will fall in the next 5 years? If so, type yes in the comments and tell me why. Let's discuss. Hit that like button if Operation Ajax just made America's financial dominance look completely different. This is Finance Unfolded. Stay informed.